Secretary Miller, and distinguished guests. We are gathered today for a signing ceremony to implement the reforms outlined in Section 922 of the fiscal year 2017 National Defense Authorization Act. For nearly 4 years, the Department of Defense has planned and prepared to implement this important legislation. It not only strengthens the role of the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations and Low-Intensity Conflict as the senior civilian for special operations within the department, but it also reinforces the partnership with the commander of the United States Special Operations Command. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll have opening remarks from the Acting Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security, Mr. Ezra Cohen.
Thank you, Jim. Mr. Secretary, on behalf of the men and women of U.S. Special Operations, especially Army Special Operations, welcome home. We are honored that you have returned to your roots on this historic day on hallowed ground. Today, the Department of Defense has started the process of formalizing what we have long known: the fundamental role of U.S. Special Operations in defense and foreign policy by elevating Special Operations forces to a level on par with military departments as authorized and directed by Congress. As we enact these reforms, we follow the vision of President John F. Kennedy, who predicted the rise of special operations nearly 60 years ago. He foresaw, quote, another type of war, new in its intensity, ancient in its origin, that would require a whole new kind of strategy, a wholly different kind of forces which are too unconventional to be called conventional forces, which are growing in number and importance and significance. President Kennedy gave these remarks at the opening of the nuclear age, when the Pentagon was primarily organized to plan and direct large conventional operations against superpowers, not special operations short of overt declared conflict. The global demands for special operations forces then and now has confirmed President Kennedy's foresight. And now, under the leadership of President Trump, we are fully realizing President Kennedy's prescient view of special operations forces. It is fitting that we are again entering an era of great power competition as we gather to affirm the importance of the special operations community. Then as now, I know special operations forces will play a vital role. And by the historic reforms we have enacted today, we will ensure Special Operations Forces has a civilian advocate commensurate to the secretaries of the other military departments. I am honored to serve as your service secretary. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Acting Secretary Miller.
Through these, you read them. Here, Jim, you take this. I got my big book. Going to speak for a couple hours. Good morning, everyone. Wow, what a week. That old cliche, if you want a friend in Washington, D.C., get a dog. May be true for many, but for me, I know I can come to Fort Bragg and be with my brothers and sisters in Special Operations Forces who always have my back. It is an honor to be here on this hallowed plaza where we are reminded of the enormous sacrifices and burdens shouldered by our nation's special operators. These brave heroes were first to the enemy's doorstep, Mark, in the aftermath of the September 11th attacks in 2001. Only weeks after that dark day in our nation's history, they plunged into danger to bring justice to the terrorists who took thousands of innocent American lives. And they will be the ones who continue to deny safe haven to violent extremists and maintain unrelenting pressure on the road to stability and lasting peace in Afghanistan and Iraq. I know firsthand the caliber and character of these brave service members, having served as an Army Special Forces company commander under then Colonel John Mulholland during Operation Enduring Freedom, and with Mark, of course. I also served 2 tours in Iraq, including during the 2003 invasion and later in 2006 as Special Forces Battalion Commander, 2nd Battalion, the Special Forces Group. Absolutely the best Special Forces Battalion in the history of the world. No offense. I spent the remainder of my career just as committed to defeating terrorists and those that would help harbor them. Today we are gathered before a monument that symbolizes the tremendous cost of these conflicts and our relentless vigilance. In light of the countless sacrifices made by hundreds of thousands of American service members and our enormous progress over nearly 2 decades, we are now bringing these conflicts to their successful and responsible conclusion under the bold leadership of President Trump. Yesterday, the President ordered the downsizing of our force presence in Afghanistan and Iraq to 2,500 troops in each country by 15 January 2021 in a manner that protects our fighting men and women and our hard-earned gains. At the same time, you all know this, should any malign actors underestimate our resolve or attempt to undermine our efforts, we will not hesitate to restore deterrence and defeat any and all threats. As we implement the President's orders, we also recognize that transitions and campaigns are fraught with risk and unexpected challenges and opportunities. That is why I am here today to announce, this is an omen, I'm here today to announce that I have directed the Special Operations civilian leadership to report directly to me instead of through the current bureaucratic channels. This historic step finalizes what Congress has authorized and directed and will put Special Operations Command on par with the military services for the first time. This reform will immediately improve agility to the department and the command and will enable us to streamline information flow, enhance decision-making, and more adaptly and adeptly support our commanders and their superb soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. Change is often tectonic in the Department of Defense. This is by design, and as our history shows, has served the nation very well. Today's reform is directly aligned with all 3 of my priorities as outlined in my message to the force on Monday. First, bring the current war to an end in a responsible manner that guarantees the security of our citizens. 2, continue implementing the National Defense Strategy with an emphasis on transforming the department for great power competition. And 3, accelerate the department's activities to contribute to our whole of government effort to combat transnational threats. I also want to highlight that this particular change has been analyzed, debated, and refined over the course of the past 30 years, since the creation of Special Operations Command and the creation of the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations Low Intensity Conflict by the Nunn-Cohen Amendment to the Goldwater-Nichols Act of 1987. I have closely studied and been intimately involved in these efforts. I personally think Solik deserves to be an Undersecretary of Defense, but unfortunately that's beyond my authority and purview at this time. But I know future generations will take that one on.
We'll talk to you later.
All right. Pretty good. Bring it in.
All right, let's go. BLM, Antifa, Boogaloo, 3%ers, right-wing militias, they are not the irrational ones. If the government continues to be illegitimate and tyrannical and uncaring, the summer will be nothing compared to what is to come.
If Tulsi Gabbard would have, I love Tulsi. If she was a Democratic nominee, I'd like.
Don't you remember the unity rally? There was like 50 of us there and then like 100 cameras. opponent to a dishonest ally
Instead
any
of
day of
people
the week.
protesting, they'll be at work paying taxes to rebuild the